What's up, my deliberate creators? I just wanted to tune in real quick to speak to you about linear time and the logical mind as it pertains to creation. Because I've come to realize that that's a big block for a lot of us when it comes to tapping into our divinity and creating from a conscious place instead of an unconscious place. We look at time, that's a big factor. And because we've been operating so much in our left brain, which is the logical, analytical brain, that plays a big role in it too when we're looking at our reality and trying to create something. So, the first thing I want to touch on, y'all hear that dog, about time is, as we all know, we'll hear a lot of people say time is an illusion as it pertains to 3D. Now, the thing with that is, time in the 3D has its place. Time in the 3D is good for you have appointments, you have to go to work, you have somewhere you need to be, you have to do something at a certain time. Fine, you have to be somewhere to do something at 1 p.m. Check the clock, make sure you're there, do what you got to do at 1 p.m. You have an appointment at 10 a.m., go ahead and make sure you do what you need to do to make your appointment at 10 a.m. However, linear time is not good when it comes to creating because it's not real in the spiritual sense. There's a difference. There's spiritual time and then there's linear time. So, spiritual time is what's happening behind the scenes. So, let me put it to you this way: we have months, weeks, days, hours, minutes. The more you dissect and break down time, the faster it is. So, on the spiritual end, time is moving like this, instantaneous. The more we stretch it out, it starts to slow down. So, that's why a month is longer than a week. A week is longer than a day. A day is longer than 5 hours. An hour is longer than a minute. A minute is longer than a second. You break seconds down into nanoseconds. That's even faster. You break nanoseconds down. Like, the more you break it down, you realize it's moving super fast. Or you get to the point that you realize it's just not even moving at all because it's not even real. So the more we stretch it out and span it out, the slower it seems to get. And then that's when we get into the 3D. We have minutes and hours and days and things like that. So you can't look at that time because the fact that we can think, we can imagine, everything is always moving all the time. That's the time you need to be focused on. It's your spiritual time. What are you doing behind the scenes? Because what happens is, since spiritual time is moving like this, because it's super fast once you break it down, it's moving like this. So because you don't know it's moving like this and you spent your whole day or your whole week telling the same story, talking about, you know, how hard life is or how depressed you are or how things is never going to turn around for you or why is this taking so long, you don't realize that in spiritual time, this is what you're doing. So now all those fast moments like this has turned into, a day, and it's turned into a week, or it's turned into a month, or it's turned to a year, now it's turned to 5 years, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Because that's the energy you've been putting out in spiritual time that's moving like this. Now imagine if you was to flip that and you was to become more conscious of what you're putting out and what you're thinking, what you're imagining, what you're feeling in spiritual time like this. This is how some things happen instantaneously. This is how some people say, oh, it's a miracle. This is how some people say, oh, I blew up overnight. Because whether they were aware of it or not, they was probably more than likely giving most of their time to what they wanted, to where they was trying to go. And so because of that, it started to show up quicker for them. They wasn't looking at linear time anymore. They wasn't putting that type of time to say, oh, it's going to take me too long. It's going to take months. That's going to take years. No, they was just internally focused. What do I want? What do I want to experience? What's my vision? Okay, I'm giving my energy to that. So, with that being said, the next thing I wanted to speak on was the logical mind, because that's something else that plays a part. Like, you'll hear people say there's the left brain, right brain. Left brain good for logical, analytical. Right brain is more imaginative, it's more intuitive. That's because that's the creative brain. The left brain was actually made, I don't know how long ago, but we ain't started out with it. It's something that was created over time, a long time ago. And because we've become so indoctrinated to operating outside of that brain, that's why a lot of people have a hard time imagining. That's why we have a hard time envisioning. We have a hard time looking outside of our current situations and being able to see beyond that and hold a vision beyond that, because we're such logical, analytical beings. Again, that type of mindset is good for observing the 3D world, not good for creating. So if you're looking at the floor and you see something spilled and you say, that needs to be cleaned up, that's logical. Okay, yes, it needs to be cleaned up. Go clean it up. If you're saying, oh, I want to go find a new job in marketing, and your logical brain says, go Google jobs in marketing. Okay, go do that. Like, that's logical. But when it comes to creating something beyond that, it's not good for creating. So if you have a vision, let's say you want to not find a job in marketing, but you want to create your own marketing firm. Okay, so then your logical mind may step in. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, how long is that going to take? Again, here comes time, linear time. How long is that going to take? How are you going to do that? Oh my gosh, where are you going to get all these resources? Oh, where do you start? Research, blah, 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 blah. Not good for creating, and you know what that type of thing it does. It take you down a rabbit hole. You feel stressed. You may do a little research and you may start feeling burned out and say, you know what, forget this. I'm not doing it, because that's not a creative mind. But if you say, I want to start my own marketing firm, and then you go into your creative mind, which is the imaginative mind, and you just start imagining yourself having that marketing firm and seeing it as a successful business and helping so many people learn how to market, that's creative. Now, when you get into that mode, you have went beyond your logical mind, and you also went beyond linear time, because in spiritual time, you've already taken yourself there. You're already seeing it. It's already a thing for you. But then we may do that for a little bit, and then we step back out, and then because we look back at our circumstances, or let our logical brain take back over, because at this point in time it's the most dominant brain, because that's the one we've been operating out of. So it does take time to transition out of that mindset into your creative mindset. It does take time. It takes practice. You have to be persistent. It takes repetition. Like, the same way you get up and go to work every day to collect your paycheck, it's the same. That's the same thing. Like, it's work. You have to get up every day, and when you feel like you're starting to get more attached to linear time and to your logical brain, you have to do the work to get yourself out of that. Go back into your creative brain. Go back into spiritual time. See yourself there. Speak it into existence. There's all type of techniques out here, scripting and 55x5 techniques. There's a lot of things you can do. Like, some people believe in, candle burning, putting the candles on and speaking things over candles, all type of stuff to try to get yourself in that creative mode. Me personally, I do those things sometimes. I did them more earlier in my journey, but now I'm in a place where I just realize my mind is the most powerful thing I have. Like, give me some quiet time to myself, just me and my mind, and I'm pretty good at going in and being able to conjure up. But if you're just beginning, or that really helps you, there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't get attached to the techniques, because it's not the techniques that create. They just help you get into the mode. So that's why you can train yourself to just know how to get into that mode without any of the techniques. But I just wanted to come on here and have a brief conversation with you guys, because I see that that's a lot. That's two of the biggest blocks that we go through a lot, is being stuck to linear time and not understanding the difference between linear time, spiritual time, not understanding that time is actually moving really fast all the time. It just appears to be moving slow because the more we stretch it out, the more it slows down. But the more you break it down, the more you see that it's actually moving really fast. And to get out of that logical analytical mode, yes, for the 3D realm, linear time is fine. Yes, for the 3D realm, being logical and analytical is fine. It's good. Go ahead, do those things. I'm a big researcher. I love looking stuff up, but I had to also learn to not get so enamored in that because I would get so over consumed with researching that I would overwhelm myself, and then that would knock me out of creative mode, and then I would be back stuck being like, what the, how, now I feel lost again. Now I feel like I'm on information overload. Now I feel like I don't know where to begin. Now I'm just as confused before I started. So I had to learn that when you operate in creation mode, and I'm telling y'all this, I know. When you operate in creation mode, all that researching and analyzing all that stuff you do, you don't have to do as much as that because a lot of things start to come to you, especially in this day and age, once social media, you speak one thing or say something, they got ads popping up all over the place. So you don't even have to go doing so much, it will come to you. Or you'll just have a quick idea to say, you know what, I never thought of that, let me look that up real quick. And then you look it up and bam, it's there, and you wasn't spending hours and days researching and doing all that. So the more you stay in creation mode, the more things make themselves readily available to you, and the quicker things start to show up for you. Pay attention to them synchronicities because those are the beginning signs that your vision or your goals or whatever you've been working on in your creative mode is starting to show up for you. Those are the first signs. So just wanted to drop that little nugget for you guys. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening.